press record. So we kind of touched on this day one, and I don't know how much of it is still fresh for you guys. But I think we can all basically at this point agree, plant-based eating, good, fruits and vegetables, good in their whole form, right? Like I don't think anybody's arguing against that at that point, right? Like we're all pretty cool on that. So for me, like what I'd really love to deliver to you, I don't have definitely the knowledge that Dr. Soler has. I just have kind of the layman's version of how I get more fruits and vegetables, whole fruits and vegetables into my diet. So that's really the thing that I want to share with you guys the most. So starting with, where can we go get the best whole fruits and vegetables? Let's just start right there, right? So you're at home, you have all these options, right? We have a million options where we can go get food. Where do you feel like is the best option to go get your produce? Farmers markets. Wonderful. We cheated, we talked about that already. But yes, farmers markets, right? Why? Somebody give me some reasons why farmers markets the best place to get your produce. Locally grown. Fresh. What's good about fresh?
More vitamins.
More vitamins. Yeah, nutrient dense. Right? We talked about how when something gets picked, right, the average is, anybody remember how far food usually travels before it gets to our plate? Anybody?
1,000 miles.
Say again?
Couple thousand miles.
Couple thousand, 2,500 miles on
I remember
average is
exactly
how
what you
far.
said.
So almost across the entire United States, right, is how far. And in a lot of cases, it comes from much further, right? Who's ever picked up the mango from Peru and been like, yay, right? But that fruit was picked before its ripeness. Why? Because they put it on a truck, they put it on a plane, and then it ripens as it's going to source, right? So anything that we can get that's picked at its most nutrient dense is always going to be a win, right? Okay, you don't have time to go to a farmer's market, but you have convenience in terms of maybe you can spend a bit of money to have that convenience. What's the second best option we can go for?
Whole Foods.
What's that?
Whole Foods.
That's number 3. Yeah, there's one step in between
The
those two.
delivery? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So
Really?
there's so many CSAs now, right? There's so many organizations that support local farms. Who's ever heard of Imperfect Produce?
Oh, I have heard of that.
What a wonderful company. So that all these fruits and vegetables that don't make it into the supermarket because they're not good looking enough, Imperfect Produce buys though. I know, no, it's a thing. Like it's a thing. Like if stuff doesn't look a certain
Like
way,
the cherries that are two together, like
Yeah.
the
Won't sell it.
semi-sweet.
Yeah, exactly. Like a sandwich that looks weird.
So we can go get that stuff even through Imperfect Foods at a discount to where we'd almost pay the same as we would at a Whole Foods at a high end. Like, okay, that doesn't work for you, then yes, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Sprouts, like yeah, those higher end supermarket chains are definitely getting the better of it, but still not the best, right? So anytime we can go local, anytime we can go close to home, we're gonna get more nutrient density, and frankly, with a lot of these programs now, you're not even paying that much more. You know where you're gonna pay more in a store? Packaged stuff, box stuff, right? That's gonna run up your bill. Kale is not gonna run up your bill. It costs like $1.50 a bushel, right? Like beets, not gonna run up your bill. So I think it's kind of self-explanatory, but it bears reiterating. So if you can't go to either one of those two sources, what should you do?
Your organic section of your grocery store.
Yeah, so if any grocery store that you're gonna go to that's not one of those high-end chains, at the very least, right, let's make sure we're trying to buy and shop organic, right? Kind of common sense, but I think it's a good order of operations to at least start our food gathering journey before we eat. Okay, so you're in your Whole Foods, you're in your Sprouts, right? Where in the supermarket do you find the best food? Where do you find produce? Where is it? On the outsides. Yes, on the perimeter. There's not a hard and fast rule, but in general, the closer to the center of the supermarket you come, the lower quality the food gets. It's not universally true. What's that?
That's where the ice cream is.
On the outside, yes, because it's in freezers. Thank you for debunking my whole thing.
No, I mean in the middle, every store.
Oh yeah, sometimes they put those bins. I thought you were talking about the ones on the outside, because you can find ice cream there too.
Yeah.
Right? Another good trick or thing to know, when you walk into the supermarket, what is there usually? A display of some kind, right? Buy one, get one, blah, blah, blah. And even if it's produce, even if it's fruits and vegetables, guess what? There's an incentive for them to get rid of it. That's why it's sitting there. That's why you see it first, right? So even though it might be organic, it might be local, it might be all these things, just be wary of when you go to grab those things, it may have been sitting there for a couple few days, right? So you found your way to the produce section. Rad. Awesome. What are we looking for now? You go to pick up a piece of fruit, you go to contemplate buying it. What's your thought process?
Ripe, too ripe, ripe or overripe.
Too ripe or underripe? Great.
For me, no color.
Color, yes.
Colors.
Yeah.
Smell.
Smell. Hitting on all the senses, love it. Yeah.
How firm or soft it is.
Firm or soft. And that takes a little bit more knowledge to understand exactly ripe or unripe.
Yeah.
Pretty general rule though is if it's hard, it's what?
Not right.
Not ripe. And if it's soft, it's
Overripe. Yeah.
or maybe at its peak ripeness. Yeah, right? So it's just a good rule of thumb. Who's ever bought the avocado, right? That's rock hard, but after 2 days, it's perfect. And then after 2.5 days, it's not perfect anymore. That window is very small. Yeah, yeah. So stick to the perimeter, use your senses, right? I've sampled a grape or two or a cherry or two, right? But use your senses, right? If it looks good, if it feels good, like have an intimate relationship, have an intimate conversation with the food that you're about to buy, right? What else? One thing that we missed. Say again?
I don't know, look for moldy ones.
Yeah, well,
That's what I do for berries. Well, no.
that's a good one. What about fruit that's not laying bare? What about fruit that comes in a package? What can we learn from a package?
Oh, expiration.
Expiration. What else can we learn from a package?
Where it was from.
Where it comes from! I'm so guilty of this. Oh, 2 for 1 blackberries. Pick them up, they came from 10,000 miles away, right? Yeah, it's something that we don't think about very often. I don't know that many people read the actual packaging of what they're getting themselves into.
So is that always the case that like food that's grown more locally or closer to you is going to be better?
It's gonna be what?
Is going to be better.
Pretty universally.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to double check in with the farm. Like, ideally go visit it and just see what they do. See if there's animals on the property, see if they're spraying pesticides, see if they're, I mean, that's really a huge intentional, like, you know, but at the very least, just do a little bit of research, you know, where you're good, and especially if you're gonna get all of it from one farm or one of these CSAs or a local farmer's market, it's nice to know what the farming practices are, but pretty universally, anything you can buy closer to home, it's just gonna be more nutrient dense, you're gonna get it riper, and frankly, you're gonna have a deeper connection to the food that you're eating.
Even if that like region or place isn't known for that specific food.
Yeah, of course. So like if you live like in Atlanta,
Yeah.
right? Like you're probably not getting fresh citrus maybe. Well, maybe you would, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah, so I guess it's definitely biodiverse just depending on where you live, but pretty much every area, even if they're incorporated or bringing it in from like a state or two over, there's still localer farms that we can use. And that's just always kind of my rule of thumb to get the most nutrient dense stuff as well. I just watched a really interesting documentary and I wanted to just mention on it real quick. There was a guy who, when he was 16 years old, went on a camping trip with his parents and they didn't bring enough food. And so they had to start foraging. Like they had to go start going through the forest, like foraging. So this guy devoted his life to figuring out just what plants can we actually eat. And like, he takes people into parks and he's like, you can eat this, you can eat this, you can eat this, you can eat this. Just for example, there's over 25,000 varieties of sunflowers, and you can eat over half of them. Dandelions happen to be one, daisies are another, but like you can eat all these different things. Long story short, he went in to have his antioxidant level tested, and now most people are shooting to be around like a 500 or so. He was like 2,000, or like they thought the machine was broken, right? Because he's getting so many different nutrient dense, right, vegetables and fruits into his diet, right? So the more we can incorporate, the better. All right, another good rule of thumb, it's not universally true, but the less something is packaged, right, the less packaging something has, usually it's gonna be better for us. Yeah, experience your food with all 5 senses. You guys hit that one really good. Okay, so now that you've decided where you're gonna go get your most nutrient-dense fruits and vegetables, you have to really come up with a time commitment that you can stick to, right? So like for some of us, That means we have time to chop, we have time to prep, right? But for others of us, we might need to take some shortcuts, right? And that's completely okay. So long as we're taking shortcuts still within the scope of eating organic, right, whole fruits and vegetables, it's still gonna be a win, it's still gonna be a good decision, right? So, yeah, and then the other point, and we talked about this a little bit the other day, really what you go and buy in the store is ultimately gonna dictate what you eat.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it sounds so stupid, but it's like, I know when I have junk in my house, I'm gonna tend to eat more junk, right? And if I fill my house up with more whole fruits and vegetables, whether it's frozen, canned, I know canned isn't the greatest because of the sodium, but you get what I'm saying, like to have more of that stuff on hand, you wanna give yourself more options. And then again, make a commitment that you can stick to, right? Like if you know you're not gonna slice and dice it, go buy it frozen, right? Go buy it prepped, go buy it ready to rock and roll, right? So, yeah, let's talk a little bit about kitchen appliances. So, if I was on a desert island and I can only pick a couple few things, right? Not that you need to have everything, but a couple few things. Number one, juicer. Love the juicer. I love to break fast with juice. I think it's great. I think it's an intimate connection with the food, and we know it's one of the most nutrient-dense ways, right, to get fruits and veggies in large quantity into our diet. Second, high-quality blender. High-quality blender. Sauces, smoothies, soups. There's just so many things that you can do with a blender. So again, desert island, that's my number 2. A little bit further down the list, but still a really cool thing to have, air fryer. Absolutely love an air fryer. If you don't know what an air fryer is, it's basically a mini convection oven. It's just a small convection oven that can bake and cook and even fry your food with little to no oil whatsoever, right? You can achieve the same results with an oven, but it's bigger, right? So you use up more energy and it just takes more time. And I just love the air fryer. It's like, sits on the counter, it's a little basket, you dump stuff in, you push it, you press a button, you walk away, and it just does it. Like it's an absolutely fantastic device. Last, Instant Pot pressure cooker. If you're really strapped for time, right, and you want one pot meals, super simple. They're not always going to be the best because everything's going to blend and mix together. Things get mushy, things stay less so. But overall, especially the Instant Pot in particular, it's really nice to just be able to dump everything in, again, hit a button and go and walk away. You can even set the Instant Pot to start at a certain time. So if you don't want it to cook and sit all day, you can have it start at a specific time. So that's really it in terms of that stuff. Good knives, good utensils, like that kind of stuff for when you're working in the kitchen. If you're really chefy, obviously super helpful. So without further ado, let's make some food, shall we? So first things first. My all-time favorite post-workout. Also when I break a fast usually. Smoothies, right? So for me, do we have this finished?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's right there.
Radical, excellent. Oh, beautiful. Thank you. I have a chef's assistant now. A sous chef. So this is like the ultimate get out of jail free card. Like if you need a meal on the go, quick, nutrient dense, loaded with vitamins after a workout, after breaking a fast. The smoothie especially is just easier on the body digest. If you know bodybuilding, weightlifters, athletes, the science is pretty long and secure in terms of smoothies. For me, I exercise a fair amount. I usually walk about 4 to 5 miles a day. This is the cleanest, most beautiful vegan protein that I've been able to find. A lot of it's, I get gas, I have some tummy problems. Sprouts, super simple. This was on sale for $30. Normally a tub like this is like $50 or $60. I'm gonna pass it around. You can look at the ingredient list. You'll notice it's super clean, super simple.
But it doesn't taste good.
You're gonna find out. You're gonna find out.
John?
Yes.
Protein powder?
Yes.
Is it protein powder?
Yes, exactly, yeah. And again, this is a process thing, right? But if we're gonna reach for something processed that's gonna bolster our ability to get protein and recover from a workout, again, this is an on-the-go kind of thing, right? I'm gonna show you guys, you can make this in literally under 2 minutes. It's super easy. You can add and subtract as you like. Another little bit more of a luxury buy, again, because I exercise a lot, I'm conscious of how much protein I'm putting back into my body. This is really simple. This is just flax milk with added protein. And what's really beautiful about this is, if you remember the nutrient or the vitamin that Dr. Solares, one of them that he said we should supplement into our diet that we don't get, whether you're vegan or not.
D and B12.
D and B12. One serving, 60% of your B12 for the day. Not as much on the vitamin D, I think it's about 10 or 15%. Yeah, 10% for a serving, so you're still gonna have to go stand out in the sun. But again, this makes the smoothie more delicious, and it gets you the vitamin B12. These are about $5 to $6, right? You could just take a B12 supplement and put water in your smoothie. It's gonna taste pretty dang good. This is kind of a luxury. At $5, like, you know, it's not a lot of flax for $5, but
Can you get that at like
Sprouts, Whole Foods.
Whole Foods, okay.
so I'll pass this around. You guys can look at the
How
nutrient
long
content.
does it last, like, in the fridge?
I think that's a great question. I usually go through them pretty quick.
Yeah, it does.
July 15th, it says.
Okay.
So
And
you
you,
got over a month.
and this is what you just bought yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
can
yes.
we use like a flex, like a spoon of flex eggs in the smoothie instead?
You could do that, right? This is again a more cost-effective way, but it's a little bit more intentional. You have to measure out your flax. This is easy because about what you're gonna put in your smoothie is about the suggested serving, and you're gonna get that B12 and some of that vitamin D and some other vital nutrients as well. But you can see with both of those, right? There's not a lot of ingredients you can't pronounce, which is another great tip for shopping, right? If you can't pronounce the ingredients, right? Like if it's like Dori Burger Meshko Mado,
Yeah.
like that's usually not such a good thing. There are certain exceptions, like something like xanthan gum, which was actually created just purely as a preservative, actually been studied and is not that negative on the body. But then again, that takes a little bit deeper level understanding. We're just kind of imparting some things that are fun. So, bananas. When are bananas at their most nutrient dense?
Imagine when they're overripe, but I don't know.
Say again.
When they're overripe.
A little bit, kind of. What we think of as kind of overripe. Yeah, so when they start to get brown spots, right, just when they start to get brown spots, they become their most nutrient dense. They also actually lower in fructose, which is kind of crazy. So when you use them in their very starchy, kind of underripe state, they actually have a bigger spike on the insulin levels in the body. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Super simple, peel them, throw a bunch of them in a Tupperware, throw a bunch of them in a Ziploc bag. They last forever in the fridge. This is like your ice cream base, right? This is kind of the icy part, this is kind of the creamy part. What's wonderful about bananas is as you start to add stuff, they kind of come like background noise. Like they really just sort of blend into whatever you're doing. So if it's chocolate or it's berries, it's gonna really adapt to whatever you want it to taste like. So this is just like the best in terms of how it gets started. Now I usually buy from farmer's market or from Sprouts or from Whole Foods, berries, you know, in their whole form, bring them home, eat some, and then when I know they're about to get that moldy, you know, kind of berry look, I throw them in a Ziploc bag, I throw them in the freezer, right? You don't want to do that. You want it to all be mixed and all super convenient. Boom, right? Berries, one of our best foods to come off of a cleanse. They are also just in terms of nutrient density, how they don't really spike or lower your insulin levels too much. I mean, berries are just powerhouses. Hey, Shelly, stop me if I'm saying anything crazy, right? Shelly's the resident nurse over there, so let me know if I say anything that's not. Thanks, Shelly, I appreciate you. Right, so super simple. Now we have these two ingredients in our fridge already, right? We have that third ingredient in our fridge already, right? So all we're gonna do, take our trusty blender. Now, how creamy do you want your smoothie? Do you want it to be like ice cream? Maybe. If you want it to be like ice cream, super simple, add more banana. Again, just be conscious your sugar levels are gonna go up. If we have properly ripened bananas, we can add a little bit more, still get away with it. Thank you.
I have a question about the flaxseed milk. I
Yeah.
noticed that it said on the back flaxseed oil.
Yeah.
And we were talking about like oils before, so
So to Orly's point,
yeah.
when you buy something that's packaged, right? If you were to have flaxseed or ground flaxseed, of course, that would be more nutrient dense. What they do is they put just enough amount of oil that they get to the nutrient value with this. What you're paying for with these is mostly water. Yeah. So like for instance, almond milk, they did a study on a gallon of almond milk. Do you know how many almonds on average are about in that gallon of almond milk?
6.
Yeah, I think it's like 6 to 10. Yeah. Yeah. So again, you're paying for convenience, right? You're paying for convenience, but you just have to look at the calorie information. You have to look at exactly what's going in, and that's a great find, right? I'm just explaining to you that that's how they do that. They take a little bit of oil and then they fill it up, and then something that makes it white. If it's not white, we're usually in the almond milk, but these you're okay. And yeah, so that's what you're getting.
With regards to almond milk and cashew milk, you can soak it overnight and put it in the blender and make your own, and it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah, and if you have the time, that's definitely the best way to go. For me personally, I'll eat a handful of nuts and I'll use this, right? But I'm not doing the overnight, I'm just realistic. Like again, make a commitment that you can keep, right? So literally guys, all I've done is I've taken some bananas, thrown them in here. I've taken some berries, thrown them in here. Now, choice is yours. You could add almond butter. I wanted to bring the almond butter into the equation because while we're talking about oils and spreads and things that are very calorie dense, I love almond butter. I love it so much. And when it settles, what does that look like on top?
Oil.
Oil, right? So let's pass this around. Look at how much 2 tablespoons of almond butter is in terms of calories. Spoiler alert, it's a lot. It's a lot, right? And we talked about, guys, on day 1, in terms of fat or weight loss, especially like if that's your goal is to lose fat within your body, the only safe way to do it, like Dr. Soler said, like you can get skinny by doing keto, right? But how can you do it healthy? The only way, the only way to do it in a healthy way is by calorie deficiency, right? You're bringing in less than your burner. That's it. That's literally the only way. And we can eat so much more of this stuff, right? Not so much of that stuff, right? I'm as guilty, like 3 big tablespoons, a thing of sliced apples, and I'm chilling, at like 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, right? It's like 1,000 calories right before you go to bed, right? Like a nice thing like this of almond butter, crazy amount of calories, right? So again, people will say, oh, just put a tablespoon. You can, but just be cognizant of all the other calories that are going in as well. For our smoothie today, just 1 scoop. Just 1 scoop. 120 calories in this? 120 calories per scoop, right? So big time bang for your buck, nutrient density. It's gonna give it a little vanilla flavor, which is a beautiful backdrop to the berries. Easy peasy, Japanese, as I say. So just by quick show, who feels like they're not a good cook, not a good chef, really bad at it?
Terrible.
Nice. You guys just volunteered to be the chefs for the next episode.
Oh, God.
See how fun that was?
Too late.
Too late now, Sarah.
I burnt pasta. I'm not bad.
You burnt pasta?
Yeah.
That's what you did. It was good. So there is a little scooper in here, but it's down low. So just so everybody knows, it's about 3 tablespoons. So I'm just going to use the same. Or actually, here he is. I got it. Yeah. So what I love about protein powder too, right? Obviously, we know what a serving is. We just take it, we scoop it, we put it. Now again, at this point, if you're not wanting the extra calories, if you don't feel like you're working out hard, you don't need the extra protein, you can totally skip this. You can put water in this, and I promise you, it tastes just as good. This is not adding flavor. This is just adding some nutrient value. So Dr. Soler and I talked on the first day because I had read a lot of conflicting things about food combining, right? And that's why I asked the question, combining fruits and vegetables. Something really important that he pointed out, not only is it okay, like, to combine fruits and vegetables, but anywhere we can slide something in where we maybe aren't gonna normally necessarily eat it, that's a huge win, right? So this is so chock full of sweetness and berries and goodness. If we put a bit of spinach in here, yeah, you're not gonna notice it. And why not? Why not get a handful of spinach? Sprouts. Sprouts are such a great thing, right? They don't really taste like much, but they're what they call meristematic. It's where the fruit tends to first grow and bud. Literally the most nutrient dense thing. If you took this much sprouts and put it in here, like big time, yeah, nutrient bump up. So I'm only gonna put maybe a half cup, 3/4 of a cup, right? Not that much, super simple.
And what type of greens are those?
Say again.
The greens, what are they?
Spinach.
The green
Oh,
spinach,
spinach,
yeah.
okay.
I'd be like, what about yourself?
So I know I went slow, but we would all agree that should take about like 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Pretty easy. Alright, so I'm gonna drink this one and then no. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
You can put it in a wine glass and just take it.
So a couple of our spinachies didn't quite make it in there. But we're still gonna get the idea. Who wants to try?
Me.
All of us.
You actually made that seem like so simple.
I mean, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
I'm not a classically trained chef or even an unclassically trained one. It's just, it's not that. Sorry.
Are you kidding me? I made myself
I know. Well, we should be able to tell like if we put on our tight jeans. Yeah.
So guys, you're gonna see this is pretty thick. Like you can eat this. I'm gonna give you guys a spoon to eat it, right? So it's literally like eating ice cream. It's like eating berry ice cream or yogurt. Again, if you want it to be more smoothie, what would we do?
Add more of the stuff, the juice.
You could add more of the flax milk or just reduce the bananas or the frozen vegetables, right? Or the frozen fruits. And both the berries. Well, what's really good is I'm doing this after you guys haven't been eating for
You're
3 days. So I think
killing
the feedback is gonna be a little bit.
Like more dog food, that is amazing.
And for once on it, it's not
That's why I'm
wait
thinking,
for
like, no
us
matter
to
what I
get
serve you
ours
guys, it's
before
gonna
you
take
take it.
I'm not going to. I have a massage at 3:15. I don't know why I skipped my lunch juice. That's juicy. So I skipped my lunch. I'm not gonna wait, girls.
Yeah,
Okay.
dig in.
Thank you. Ooh, it kind of feels like ice cream. It tastes like ice cream from rodeo. Oh my gosh.
I told you that one about, I was like,
Oh my god.
and I don't care for bananas that much, so I can't do it. That's what everybody says.
Yeah, it's very background. The bananas are just kind of in the background. Now, if you just add like vanilla or even straight pea protein and you want it to taste banana-y, you certainly can keep it. You know, what's really good too is like a little bit of peanut butter and banana.
This is like creme brulee good. I think.
That's my favorite dessert.
Is it?
Yeah.
Get ready.
Get ready. Does anyone eat mayonnaise? Yeah.
Thank you.
One of the most interesting recipes I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys noticed, but like when I ate my first first thing a little while ago, I felt like I could taste it so intimately. It was so cool.
Pick up all the ingredients.
Cheers.
I was actually glad you didn't break out the fake cheese. You eat it? Because then that was the first thing I ate.
No.
I would think that was amazing. I'm buy it.
Half of this. Okay. Well, anyway, you take one
Thank
egg
you.
and one banana and mash them up together with the.
Is that good?
Yes, it was beautiful.
Are we missing anybody?
Wow. I would never
I
guess
tried it last week
No, I'm
for the
okay.
first time. Somebody was telling me I like banana.
one egg and one
Does anybody want a little bit more?
Why is this so good?
Isn't it?
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Oh,
This is
so
really good.
Well, I'll take credit that it's normally pretty good, and then also that you guys are just awesome.
Wow.
I was gonna say, I don't know. Share with the others. I'm okay. 'cause
This is amazing.
No.
Wow.
More? Sarah, more?
Oh, it tastes like more, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
You have some. Well,
I will. I'll have a little bit. Do you want a little more?
Well, I want you to have some.
Oh, I think the protein powder adds more flavor.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
It's
it's that
like
little
more like
vanilla
the
kind of.
Creamy,
Deeper.
right?
John, I didn't see
Pea
that.
protein.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right.
This
It's
is
my favorite.
amazing.
Pea protein tends to be the cleanest and tends to be the easiest on digestive. Soy, obviously, stuff with casein, anything that's milk based, it just like destroys my
Is that
stomach.
like whey?
Whey and casein are same church, different pew, but yeah, it all comes from milk cells.
So I gotta throw that away.
Yeah, but it's also going for a bunch of people too. So
So just
on your own,
contribute five.
one is fine. Handful of berries or two, depending on how sweet you want it.
Just see what berries you use.
Oh yeah, so this is just an organic berry blend. But I usually like to buy raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, anything that's local, anything that's in season.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
You should be a chef.
Well, I technically am. I just am not trained, but I love to cook. I love to experiment with recipes. I mean, I cook for most of our retreats in Warner Springs. You should see that. Like, you should see me trying to teach yoga and like cook and make beds at the same time. It's like now I got Orly and her people. It's like, hey. Okay. Was that it? Oh no, great. Thank you. So, let's
Funny
take a little smoothie.
Beth, you said you can't taste the banana. All I taste is the banana.
So I have these on a plate, cover them ideally, like I just didn't have a Tupperware, but ideally cover them because they'll taste better if they're not getting the freezer burn and the stuff, the taste of the other things that are in your fridge. But guys, that's it. Super simple. Put them in shelled if you can, like peel them first because it's a pain in the butt to try to get the cover off of them after you've already frozen them.
And do you have them like, do you leave it out at first, like to get softer before you put it in, or you just take
Yeah,
it
so who
fresh?
remembers peak ripeness
Sorry.
when Shannon was on her phone before? No, who remembers when the peak ripeness for a banana? How do you tell? Brown spots. Yeah, as soon as they get those little brown spots on them, good to go. Yeah. When you use it before that, they're just more starchy, and they have actually more sugar. They have more fructose content. They're getting it healthy.
Straight from the freezer. Before we were asking, he said straight from the freezer.
Okay, so
I got you.
let's talk about our main course: coconut curry. My absolute probably my favorite thing to eat and to make as well. So, coconut milk. Thanks, Shelly. Coconut milk.
What was it?
This is a
Divine.
this is a staple in my kitchen. No, you're okay. This is gonna allow you to create so many dairy feeling things, soups. What is there a little picture of on there?
Oh,
Smoothie,
yeah.
right? So we don't think about coconut milk, right? At least I didn't, in the context of being able to use it for smoothies, cooking, etc., etc. This can be a base to a curry, it can be a base to any kind of soup, cream of mushroom. I mean, you can recreate so many things, right? Now, be careful because coconut milk, and especially coconut cream, heavy calorie density, right? So I'm making you something super nourishing with lots of calorie density on purpose. because you're not gonna have to eat as much of it to feel full. So that's done by design, but just know, if I use this at home, I'm using probably 1 part coconut milk and maybe a half part vegetable stock or water, right? Because you wanna thin it out a little bit, especially if you wanna eat a little bit more and be conscientious of what you got going in. So who's my first chef? Shannon, Sarah? Sarah's on the phone, okay, Sarah, come on down.
It's still work time, yeah.
So, sorry. So, Sarah's gonna be my first assistant. Sarah's gonna do a good chef thing and wash her hands first. Shara, you're gonna be at the coconut milk opening station right over here. Step 1.
Is that whole coconut milk?
Say that again.
Whole coconut milk or like?
It's good to know. I should pass it around. Know what's in there.
So you don't use coconut milk.
It's so easy. Yeah, it's always in my head.
Okay.
I could taste their milk. That's just milk though.
Okay.
Yeah, unsweet.
So,
Anybody else has to open
Sarah's taking care of our coconut cream. Even as an inexperienced chef, I have a lot of faith in her.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, these yes.
When was the last time
Okay, Shannon was our other resident, not so great chef, right? Come on down, Shannon.
Oh my god.
Okay, maybe it's gonna take you a little bit longer than the 5 minutes that I was gonna tell you.
I asked Sarah, when was the last time?
Don't worry, the dogs will help. Come here. Here you go. Good job.
We're the worst God. Or they didn't like to cook.
I love New York. I live there. It's like all the good old days. I could order food, walk home, and there would meat. It was glorious.
Are you live in India?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, you have to go get your own freaking produce for it. Yeah. No delivery.
Orly, may I ask you a quick favor?
Yes.
Can you transfer this into a bowl, although I don't know which one, maybe we use the centerpiece bowl, just any bowl that's big enough, just because I need to pop that. Thank you. Okay. So, Sarah did set us back a minute or two, but you can see it wasn't catastrophic failure. I'm really excited. My laptop is sitting right here, so that's really exciting. Alright, so cleaning out a pot right now. But once the coconut milk is open, next thing that we're going to do is vegetables. Shannon, you picked the easiest job on the face of the block. You know why?
Why?
Because I already did your job for you. So I have pre-prepped all of the vegetables that are going to go into our coconut curry, right? We talked about doing this as kind of like a fun Sunday thing, right? You prep all your veggies for the week, you get out the food processor, you make some fun out of it, right? Awesome if you have them like this, fresh, best. Awesome if you have them fresh like this. If you don't, second best option. Frozen organic, exactly, right? So you can literally buy stir-fry vegetables, frozen, organic. Cascadia Farms is the local farm in California that does them. They're amazing, they're great. You're not getting that much diversity and you're not getting much bang for your buck, right? So you're getting for like $3, you're probably getting this much, you know what I'm saying? Like you're only getting a little because it's only in a little package like this, right? But 2 or 3 of those, spending a couple extra bucks, right? Best, so that we can get the most amount of nutrients into our diet.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yes, nice job. So, Sarah nailed it. The opening of the coconut milk. So, right, super simple, right? So this is devoid of any tofu, tempeh, protein. All I did, secret hack to protein, or secret hack to tofu. Take your tofu out of its container, empty out the water, wrap it in a towel, and after about a day, you can even put something on top of it, like a light weight, just to kind of squeeze the water out, but this is what it essentially looks like after a day. Now it's still not like firm, chickeny like texture, like, you know, it's feel it.
But it's firm. Yeah, it's the firm version.
Yeah, it's easier to do it if you buy the higher firm. The last ones just have more water. That's essentially what it is. Right? So after you've done that, all I did was rough chop these. Again, not a professional chef. They're different sizes, doesn't really matter. If you have an air fryer, you can take literally 1 tablespoon of any kind of oil. You can even use a half, so you don't even need a full. You massage it through, right? That's another great trick. What happens when we put oil in the pan? We do this, right? And we just go, I don't know. Yeah, that looks good, right? And then put it down. Put it in a mixing bowl. Just take 2 seconds. Put it in a mixing bowl, put a little bit in, and then massage it and stir it. Everything's gonna get coated, same as it would on the grill or in your pan, and you're gonna have so much less fat content, right? That's literally all I did with this. Oops. Took a little bit longer because it was in the oven. This is what you end up with. Crispy, amazing, not gooey, ooey, like creamy, like this is so good. Can you pop this?
How long did you
What's
put it in the
that?
oven?
What's that?
How long did you put it in the oven?
350 for 10 minutes, 12 minutes. If you dehydrate it, you have to dehydrate it. If you don't, it's gonna sit. Yeah. If you don't,
Okay.
it's gonna sit in
Yeah.
there and sit in there, and you're gonna watch the water slowly, slowly. I mean, this even went a little bit too far. You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tastes like a French fry.
Yeah. Exactly. And literally, guys, this was a brand new bottle of sesame oil. That's how much I used. Literally like this much, and just same thing with your vegetables. I'm gonna do a stir fry too. Same thing. Little bit of oil. If you have the air fryer, you don't even need the oil. You'll just fry it like this without it, right? So, Shannon, you're on.
Okay.
Okay. So Shannon, I need you to come to the coconut milk station, the official coconut milk station. Grab a couple cans.
Okay.
Hop on over. You know, this can go right in here. Just like so.
Fantastic.
Come on, let's bring it all in.
So good.
My parents would be so proud.
We'll send them a copy. Okay, that's about good because we're not gonna have much more room for vegetables after that. So, Shannon's got her cream in there. What next? Vegetables! Put the vegetables in there. Let's see how much vegetables we can do because we're gonna run out of space.
All of these.
So just so you guys know, yeah, do like little handfuls at a time because we're gonna run out of space in there. You can use your hands, Shannon, get in there. So, carrots, onions, potatoes, green beans, broccoli, mushrooms. Yeah, that's it.
And you can use
That's
frozen as well.
And that's the alternative, for sure.
Or
That's
blank
it.
frozen.
That's great.
Frozen vegetables.
Perfect, perfect. Let's leave a little bit of space so it can bubble. Beautiful. So far, so good, right? We've only been here like 2 minutes. Okay. What was the one spice? Dr. Soler told me he takes this every single day. What was the one spice above all?
Turmeric.
Wow, you guys were listening.
They were listening. They're good students.
How much?
Wait, don't tell her that.
When does it feel good? Go on. How does that feel?
Pretty good. That's a hit. That's a hit.
Okay.
Cool.
That looks great. Yay.
You want to go for serving size? Do you remember how much Dr. Soler says he takes a day?
Teaspoon?
About a teaspoon. That's plenty more than a teaspoon.
Yeah, but that's for all of them.
Yeah, exactly,
It's
exactly.
not
Yeah.
one person, it's 4 people.
Yeah. Now the best part.
Curry.
Oh, you don't
Now,
want
how
to
spicy do you want to get? Janet?
I have to.
How spicy? I have one that's really
We
mild.
already got one.
I'm a spice.
Amazing.
Now, how do you know how much to put in there?
I am Bangladeshi too.
Oh, that's
Oh
pretty.
my God.
Awesome. Awesome. And I know that seems like a lot of spice, I promise you. That's actually about what I did in the one you guys are about to have. That's it. Take. Put on stove. Turn on heat. Cover. There's a cover around here somewhere.
Oh, here.
Ah, there it is. Thank you. That's it. You're done.
How long do you put it for?
The longer the better. Lower and slower, you're gonna keep more of the nutrient value. If you gotta eat quicker, I used to hear, my dad used to have an expression, the higher the heat, the faster we eat. So, not great for nutrient density. The lower, slower you can cook it, the better, but
Like how long did you cook this one?
a couple hours. Yeah, because especially for us, because we're coming off of a raw, fast, we've only been having raw fruits and vegetables, we want either broiled, steamed, or heavily cooked vegetables, especially when we start to eat them whole, because it's gonna be kind of tough on the body, on the system. Who wants to try it?
In regular life though.
In regular.
In our regular life.
Yeah.
Like I like things crunchy, so then it doesn't really matter. I guess the less you cook them, it's almost better.
Yeah. Yeah, in most situations, it's gonna stay a little bit more nutrient dense. The more you cook it, obviously you're cooking out more nutrients. Again, because we're coming off a fast, we want stuff that's cooked a little bit more. Now you're at an option, right? If you wanted to do your tofu, your tempeh, something else like that, you do it separately. But again, both of these steps, right? If you've prepared yourself, how long should this take? 8 minutes, 10 minutes, right? Really not that hard. This you cook separate. And then this is our finished product.
Wow.
So I like to just take my tofu and just spread it. And now believe it or not, this is gonna stay really crunchy and it's gonna add a great flavor dynamic. So even if your vegetables aren't crunchy, but you like it, you're gonna get a little crunch in this as well. Okay, we're almost home. You're almost eating, I promise. Let's talk about a base. Rice happens to be my favorite thing. Like, I think rice, Mexican food, Asian food, those are kind of my two favorite things. So I just lean on rice the most. Brown rice, whole grain rice versus white rice. Anybody tell me some differences between the two?
One raises your glycemic, or whatever you call it, fast.
Or whatever.
Or white. More fiber.
More fiber, for sure.
More protein.
Yeah, for sure. So white rice is literally just the endosperm of the rice itself, right? So you're not getting bran, you're not getting extra protein, you're not getting the fiber. For me, I love the taste of white rice. I hate the taste of brown rice. So for me, and I'm getting fiber in all these other vegetables that I'm eating, so for me, white rice is the way to go. Like, I just love it, it's easy, it stores well. Brown rice the next day gets kind of mushy and gross. But if you love brown rice, if you love quinoa, by all means. Now, this takes about 9 minutes, right, to cook rice. You're like, I don't even want to do that. I don't want to wait 9 minutes. Totally cool. These are fantastic resources. These take 90 seconds in the microwave and you're ready to rock and roll, right? Microwaves get like a big stigma, like that there's something wrong with them, that they're gonna kill you somehow or whatever. As long as the packaging is BPA free, all microwaves are doing is extracting water out of whatever it is that you're cooking. That's literally, it's all it's doing is evaporating water, right? So there's a Harvard study, and I can share this with you guys, that they looked at cooking in a microwave versus an oven. The nutrient density and value after cooking was like almost exactly the same, right? So microwaves aren't an enemy, they can be a friend. You take this, you go like this. This is quinoa and brown rice, right, by the way. I didn't even buy the white rice one, so you guys can have this as well. But literally, you just crack it up a little bit, open it an inch and a half, pop it in the microwave, 90 seconds, done. So now you have a base for your curry. Couple other products I like lastly, before we get to eat. This company is thebomb.com. Who likes pasta? Everybody likes pasta. This company, look at the ingredient list on here, look at the protein, look at the dietary fiber content, and most importantly for me, I have a carbohydrate addiction. So for me, I need to keep my carbohydrates in check. This stuff is the bomb. Check out what it's made of. Ingredient list is super duper short. It tastes delicious. Now by comparison, look at what's in this. Look at the carbohydrate count. Look at the lack of any kind of nutrients inside of it, right? So just by comparison, look at straight old, good old fashioned ingredients.
Is the texture pretty good though between that and the
I love it. I mean, it's not the same as eating pasta, but for me, it's so close and it's so good that it's like,
doesn't get much anything.
no, you have to actually, and what's fun about that is it actually cooks quicker than regular pasta because it needs less time to soften. You can cook a box of that in like 4 minutes. Yeah.
there a particular couscous that you would recommend?
I just love rice. Like I just stick to rice, but I know that the tricolor is the most amount of diversity. You know. Rice is
They're
mine.
gonna shove something down real quick?
I don't want to do my first meal challenge.
We have to bring a bowl for Janie, she has a treat.
Enjoy, ladies.
Wait, you're not getting curry!
We'll bring her a bowl.
She has a treatment.
That's dedication to a
I
treat
know,
that
I'm
right
like,
there.
here's
It's
the
like, I'm sitting right here.
I just walked up and it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I put a bowl that like after the cleanse, you want to fast at all.
We'll pick it up.
All right. Who would like to try some curry?
Everyone.
You're welcome. Wow,
Does anybody want the brown rice instead of the white rice? Sorry, I didn't have. If you do, I can.
No, you said you can, if it's the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Does anybody want the brown rice and you want it?
I just want the curry.
Okay. Deal.
oh, I'm sorry.
Oh my God, you can do it.
Ooh, and wow.
I've never seen them.
So we just there's all kinds of options as far as restaurants are concerned. Yeah, that's good.
You know, we may just because it'd be easier to use the spoons. I mean, use the fork. Or we can even just wash those. I'm gonna get you a spoon in a second. If does anybody? I'm sorry. Does anybody want the brown rice and the quinoa? Want to do the brown rice? Sure. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Huh?
You eat tofu and
I
stuff?
do, I like it, my husband likes it, so I'm gonna try to make it. Yeah. We'll see. Trails are good too. Trails? I think if I just, maybe did we just try it? Or, even when I make for dinner, you know, if we could
Thank you.
got so much time for it or something. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like Monday, Tuesday, I like sort of healthy, but
Yeah.
Wednesday I had a little bit of something and.
Yeah, you really need to.
It was like I'm getting on the board for the weekend and getting the full on meat. Well, that's what I'm sort of thinking about my husband too.
Well, you know, it's my husband's
I am. Yes. Sure.
After doing all the hard work of cooking it, you have to have some.
Well, you know what's funny? We're gonna eat yours tomorrow. Yours tomorrow.
Oh, you'll have to report back and tell me how
I
spicy
will.
it
I'll
is.
tell you how you did.
This looks wonderful.
So guys, I'm not gonna fully make it, just in the interest of time, but I'm sorry to interrupt, but the other thing that I absolutely love is a stir fry, right? That's another easy way. You have all your veggies prepped. Again, that's the preface, but if you have all your veggies prepped, right? We take a big mixing bowl like that salad bowl, throw all your veggies in. Again, 1 teaspoon of this massaged in through is gonna be all you need to get that char, to get that nice kind of flavor on the vegetables. You can flash fry it, you can put it in the air fryer, you can bake it if you really don't like frying. Like if you really want it to be easy, you can bake it, take it out, rice option, pasta option, whatever direction you want to go with it. That's it, done. Complete meal, macronutrients, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, pretty evenly distributed, and a lot of veggies. Yeah,
So for somebody who doesn't even know how to fry something,
yeah,
would you just put it, bake it? Is that
Totally
easiest?
can.
Okay.
totally can. Like I think an air fryer would be like your best friend because you could just put it in the air fryer and push a button. But the other, I mean, literally all I would do.
Little ones too, like little countertop ones.
Yeah.
Mine's like a toaster oven.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they go as big as like $500 kind of big standalone units, but I just got mine for $100, and it's made by Instant Pot, and they make amazing stuff. Like their stuff is so.
I know the foodie, so depending if you're going there, I like that it's like that sort of 7-in-1. That you can make rice, like if, like you said, you make, yeah, exactly. you make the rice and you can put that overnight and it stays there and then the next day you use it too. And I haven't used, cause one thing is like you close it, the only thing it is sort of bulky. And you can steam and do whatever you're doing. And then you can go ahead and put the other one on and then it like browns it. But you can do the same thing as an air fryer with that one, it's just more.
And literally all like pan frying entails is just taking it, putting it in a pan and turning on the heat, and just starting and watching it. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. Is that past your
That's
limit?
actually
okay.
past my cooking ability currently.
Alright, so while you guys
It's
are
not
eating,
even something new.
I can make an egg, that's
now that you guys have eaten, and I don't want to put more food in front of you while you're still eating, but this is really good to point out. So I mentioned this product the other day. These are my like ultimate guilty pleasure, especially the sea salt and vinegar with like a half an avocado. This is just like, oh my god, so good. However, I never have I ever sat down to eat Beanfields chips and had anywhere close to the recommended serving of what Beanfields chips is. Just to give you guys an idea of when you buy this bag of chips, this is what you're getting.
Wow.
That's the amount of food
That's crazy.
that you're getting. Right? Now if we were to put this in a bowl, just so you can see, even one of these small bowls, it might fill one of these guys up. Or I'll just put it on really quick. But if you can just see it. Now, how many calories would you guess are in this bag? If you had to guess.
The bag?
120 per serving. How many servings?
Just
So,
guess how many
we
calories.
got
Here, let me put
It's
it.
probably
Like
4,000.
4,000?
No, I said 1,000.
Oh, not quite that bad.
700, 500.
But not that far off either.
800.
720 calories for this entire bag. Now again, I mentioned before, that's 720 calories worth of food.
Yeah.
Right there. They got a little crushed in my car. But that's 720 calories worth of food. What you guys just ate was about 120, 150 calories, maybe.
So much more.
So 7 bowls of what you just had would be about the equivalent of this. Right? So my other favorite guilty pleasure, other than the avocado, which comes in at about, I usually sit down and eat this with an avocado, and an avocado is about 350 calories. So you're looking at about 1,000 calories for what I would deem as a snack. Right? That's chips and a dip. Like that's not a meal. That's a snack. Now the last one, and I know I mentioned it the other day. Yay! The health food champion, right? Except how many calories do we think are in this little bad boy right here?
Then why'd you buy it? You're tempted.
To show you guys, and because I'm going to use it tomorrow, it's not going to go to waste. You're going to get to eat a little of it. But somebody guess how many?
The
I need my
recommended
calculator.
amount.
I can't even figure this one out on my own. Who's going to calculate? Well, who's going to guess first?
1250.
That's exactly, I think exactly what it is. It's like 1280. So one serving of this is 2 tablespoons. Anybody ever eaten 2 tablespoons of hummus before?
Yes.
Really? Good for you.
I ate way more.
But then
Oh,
At a time,
Oh, I should
at a
have
time.
said just 2 tablespoons. Right? So 80 calories per serving, which is literally 2 tablespoons. Yeah. I can still do math. 1280. I was right on
Does
this.
that change if you make your own?
It can, because you can control how much oil you put in. That's the hidden killer with this, right? It's not the chickpeas. It's not even so much the tahini, which is just
I was gonna
crushed.
ask, what
That's
about
just
tahini?
that's just crushed sesame seeds.
Because, you know, it
Unless it's got oil
separates.
added.
Yeah.
Unless it's got oil added.
So can you just dump that out and then keep the?
I mean, at that point, if you're using it the way it's intended, which is again, tahini's like hummus. It's a spread, right? It's meant to be like mayonnaise on a sandwich, right? Like it's supposed to be a little bit. You're not supposed to sit there and like, you know.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying if you're making hummus, you know what I mean, and I'm not gonna be eating it any other way.
Sure.
Like I probably would dump the oil out and then just use the.
Just be cognizant of like when you put the tahini in or you put the oil in, how many calories is that actually adding to what?
Mhm.
You can make dinner for your parents, Janet?
What?
You can make dinner for your parents, aren't you?
Yeah, I know. They're gonna be so impressed. They're gonna be like, wait, you know how to make curry?
So again, it's not to say that I don't eat stuff like this because occasionally I do, but not only it doesn't feel good. Like after you eat it, like I always know. I'm like right after I was like, oh man, that kind of
It
thing.
tasted good, but
Pick a big one.
I did.
I mean, they're friggin' awesome. Don't get me wrong, like, they're
Look
awesome.
at the salt on them too.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, thank you. We didn't even talk about that
Oh
one.
wow.
Wow.
Salt and vinegar.
Yeah, sodium is 240 milligrams per serving. So over 6 servings, if you were to eat this whole bag, it's 60% of your sodium for the day. You
But
would-
see, we're super sensitive right now, so we haven't had anything.
Totally.
Man. It's getting me right here.
Thank you so much.
A little more?
No, but if I can get a piece of tofu.
Yeah.
The tofu's excellent, the texture is lovely.
Perfect. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
tofu can be such an asset. Like, and I was happy to hear Dr. Soler say that, you know, because I know for me, I always heard that, like, especially when I was a weightlifter, it was like, if you eat lots of tofu, your estrogen is going to go up and you're going to lose testosterone, et cetera, et cetera. There's all these myths about soy and tofu. So it's just really wonderful to hear him say. And by the way, guys, I didn't put hardly any salt. There's no added salt in this at all. So if you wanted to put a pinch in this, like if that's what you were feeling like maybe you were wanting in this, there was no extra salt in here, so you could have easily done that. Now if you,
And that's when you should add salt.
Yeah.
Cook with salt.
Exactly.
You do a little sprinkle on top, as much as you think.
that's a great point.
That, rather than cooking with it, you'll never know how much is in there.
Yeah, it's a great point. And you actually lose some of the vibrancy, some of the flavor of the salt when you use it like during cooking. You know, people say salt and then mix and salt and then mix. If you add it at the end, you're gonna get the satiation of it, you're gonna get the feeling of it, and you're not gonna have added tons and tons and tons of it to your diet. So again, guys, all these same veggies could go on a stir fry. You could take these, fry them, bake them up, put it in a wrap with a dollop of hummus, right? Like that would be perfect. Right? Mixed greens, if you wanted to add into a salad, boom, you got it ready to go. But this, right? This has to be the basis of getting yourself ready to be ready, right? If you have these things, again, the more of this stuff that you have in the house, the more of it you need, right? Take convenience, right? Take convenience if that works for you. Like if you know this is more of what you can commit to, bags of frozen vegetables, awesome. If you can make it a Sunday project, prep it and freeze it, that's rad too. If you can make it a couple times a week project and eat more fresh, even better. Even better.
You know what's crazy for not having salt for the past couple days? That one bite of that one chip is
Crazy,
tasting
right?
so salty to
Yeah.
me. I'm like, I don't like this.
So honest feedback, curry, thumbs up, thumbs down. Who liked the
So
curry?
good.
Curry's good?
Yeah. Getting back to the tofu, I heard today something new. I knew it wasn't bad for you, but I didn't know why it's not bad for you. And I'm sure if you mentioned to your lady friends, oh no, add your estrogen. What I thought, correct me if I'm wrong, he said the estrogen that comes from tofu is from plants. And the estrogen that changes your hormones and all that comes from your body. It's a different estrogen. Different estrogen.
They're great.
For that reason, it's fine.
Couple more products that I like, guys. Soy sauce fan. Remember Dr. Soler talked about how Asian countries tend to have problems, and you pointed out the soy sauce. Wonderful alternative. Still has a fair amount of sodium in it, so you have to be careful. Cocoa aminos. Anybody familiar with this product?
We use that
Yeah,
instead.
it tastes a lot like soy sauce, and it actually has a beautiful little sweetness, like a coconut sweetness to it. So I almost think it's like if soy sauce and teriyaki had a baby. That's how I kind of feel about this. No, that's how it tastes to me. But just take a quick look. I mean, the ingredient list: fair trade coconut blossom, nectar, water, and Balinese sea salt. No wonder I love this stuff so much. It comes from Bali.
Do you ever use Bragg's?
Yeah, Bragg's is even a step better. I just don't enjoy eating it as much. It doesn't have the sweetness because it doesn't have as much of the coconut. So if sugar is something that you're way cognizant of, you might be a little mindful of that. But otherwise, it's the bomb. It's really good. One of the last things. Anybody know Annie's?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Annie's goddess dressing, I feel like is just. It's just so utilitarian. You can put it straight on a salad. It has like I would say like a Caesar-y kind of taste, right? It's wonderful as a marinade. If you want to bump your vegetables up to the next level, instead of just the sesame seed oil, take this, toss your vegetables in it instead of the oil. A, you're gonna get less oil, and B, you're gonna add flavor and lots of nutrition. And again, apple cider vinegar, it does have expelled pressed canola oil. So if you're, adverse on canola oil, yeah, but there's still a lot of good stuff in here. Again, processed, so not your best, right? It'd be better to take apple cider vinegar and lemon and all that and make it on your own. But as far as the best of the worst, I guess I would say, this is a good one for me. I
See,
love
Dr. Clapper wouldn't eat that. just an FYI, because of what you just said.
Yeah.
I'll dig them out and send them to you. We have at least 20 dressings or recipes that have exactly what you said. Takes 2 seconds. Orly makes it a green goddess, sort of a creamy
Tahini.
Yeah.
Oh, the tahini.
Yeah.
tahini dressing is
Yeah.
unbelievable. Then we have a balsamic vinegar dressing that I love. Takes 2 seconds, a little bullet blender, and you keep it for 6-7 days.
You could freeze it too.
Or you could freeze it. That
Yeah.
would be
So
great.
again, it just depends on again how much work, how much effort you want to put into it. This of course is a shortcut, right? This is a shortcut. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
To your point, it's processed. It does have at least expeller press, which the process of extracting it is at least cleaner. But yeah, you know, it's still not the best you could do, but in deference to creamy dressings with milk and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, this is really what you go to. There's other products on the market, pre-made sauces and stuff. There's a company, I think it's called Kashmir Curry, that makes all kinds of different like curries and sauces. Most of them are Indian related, but they also have like other ones too. Again, they're expensive. They're like $7, $8 a jar. But if that's in your wheelhouse and it's also going to make your life easier and you have your dressings or your stuff pre-made, why not? Just again, guys, check ingredient lists. Less ingredients, the better. Check your calorie counts, right? If one serving of it is like a tablespoon or less, like you know you're not going to be able to just use a tablespoon or two.
What did you think of the Annie's products overall?
Oh yes, well thank you for
Yeah.
Annie's overall.
Yeah.
I mean it's the best of the worst, right? It's the
There you go.
yeah, it's the best of what you can get that's still processed, that's still traveling
Yeah.
in a jar, sitting warm in a supermarket.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna point these out. So
Well, those.
Mary's crackers.
It's not like Costco now too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I do also love Mary's crackers almost as much as I love these, and I used to eat these as the healthy alternative to eating these. Now, if you take these and look at them, look at serving size, look at calories, and the ingredient list is better here for sure. But if you look at serving size, you look at calorie density, it's like almost exactly the same. It's not to say you can't eat them, just it's a processed food, right? So when
you
it
eat it with
has
avocado and a cucumber.
yeah,
Make it a meal.
but if you only eat 6 of them, which I think is the recommended serving, and I've never
You
have I
can stop
ever,
at 6
yeah,
of them.
never have I ever eaten 6 of them, right? And again, that's not to dissuade you from saying like that's a thing that you should never eat.
There were 13 crackers.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's not bad.
Yeah, no,
That's
13.
better. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, for 6 servings.
Yeah, so
in
again,
one.
a better choice. You're getting more bang for your buck, but again, realize that you're still getting something. So anytime rice, anytime wheat is made into a flour, right? You're getting something that the calories have like packed into a smaller package, right? That makes sense. If I was to take all this rice, which is probably the rice it takes to make that package right there, would you want to sit down and eat all this rice in one sitting? No. But it's more consumable in that form because it's been whittled down to flour and it's also been stripped of so many of its wonderful natural properties, i.e. fiber, which is what we usually lose the most of. And again, I could sit down with an avocado, 2 avocados, I could sit down with 2 avocados and just crush that thing, no problem, no problem, especially today. So yeah, do you guys have any questions? How'd the food go down? Feeling all right? Smoothie good? Curry good? Awesome. Well, I hope you guys learned a little bit about some of these things. Like I said, I've been guilty of this, but I've also been a proponent and a finder and a champion of stuff like
Can you
this.
eat the same lentils that come in those? I know there's.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think there's going to be such a thing as a BPA not free one of these anymore,
Yeah.
right? Because it's just so readily known, right? And so BPA stands for beta phosphate something, I forgot. But essentially when it gets microwaved or it gets cooked, it leaches chemicals and toxins. So that's what you're worried about if you're cooking in any kind of container. But for these, you should be fine. And yeah, I think different types of rices, you probably can find lentils. I mean, there's
I know at Costco they sell that, and then they have the lentils and then
yeah, just check. Make sure for added sodium, like this one, if you didn't see the label, like this does have added salt, right? So you have to be careful that this is going to have some added sodium. That's not to say you can't use it, But if you use that, maybe don't go crazy putting salt into your actual curry. Eat that with this, see how you feel about it, and then you can add a little bit of salt, right? We need salt. Salt helps the cells to ionize water, right? It's super important to have minerals and salts in your body, right? We just have to be careful with how we use it.
So we're big fans of the brown rice ramen, like the, Lotus brand, brown rice ramen.
Okay?
It's just the noodles.
Yeah.
Is that, it's
Yeah,
a
I mean,
process, but it's
Yeah,
brown rice.
if the brown rice has been altered to become a noodle, just be cognizant of how, again, calorie density.
Okay.
Right? When something's taken, because these are still in natural form,
Yeah.
right? Nothing's been done to this, right? We just have to be careful when we do that. Now, for instance, these products are flour, right? But this is edamame flour, right? This is edamame that's been made into a flour and then they made it to this beautiful, beautiful product. If you look at, again, I'm a big carbohydrate person because I eat way too many and I eat way too many at night. 20 grams of carbohydrates, 13 grams of dietary fiber. Does everybody know that that means you're only getting 7 grams of net carbs? Right? So you can just subtract your dietary fiber from your carbohydrate. And that's essentially what we want to try to get to, is a better balance of fiber to carbohydrates. Super simple way to think about it. Without all the science and stuff like that, it's a super simple way to think about it. Right? This 2-ounce serving, pretty nice size serving pasta.
Can you say that one again about the fiber? Like,
What's
what's
that?
the calculation that you just said?
So whenever you see carbohydrates, they usually list the dietary fiber right under it. So if you take the 13 and subtract it from 20, the net carbohydrates, like the actual impact on your blood sugar and on your insulin levels, is going to be scientifically proven. It's only going to be 7 actual grams of carbohydrates. So it's just a super simple way to figure out. Now, on the flip side,
So the numbers would be in what range, like what's good and what's bad?
depends on your macros. Yeah, like what you're shooting for with your macros, right? And I say that because if I was running marathons, I would be totally down with more carbohydrates, right? I need that to repair my cells. If I was a bodybuilder, right, and I just wanted to put on bulk, what would be my highest macro? Protein. Yeah, exactly. Okay. If you were
Any bodybuilders? Any marathoners?
So it just depends on your goals, and then if
How
you
many
have
have you done?
specific inflammatory issues or anything like that.
Yeah, wow.
Now, a 2-ounce serving of this, 43 grams of carbohydrates, 2 grams of dietary fiber. So 41 versus 8. That's a big difference. When they talk about getting into ketosis, you're talking about eating 40 to 60 calories a day. And I'm not advocating for ketosis, I'm just trying to show you that the amount of carbohydrates you're gonna get from just a 2-ounce serving, I mean, you've basically blown away your whole daily allocation on a ketogenic diet. And again, not advocating a ketogenic diet. But yeah, I mean, 43 grams of carbs, you know, about the same 2-ounce serving of this is 200, that's 180 calories. So calorie-wise, you're still in the same ballpark, it's just, again, if you were a runner or something and you needed carbohydrates, it's totally okay. Well, I hope that helped.
Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you. Thank you. So we recorded this. I'm going to put it in the spreadsheet. That spreadsheet, by the way, is going to be public for life. So you guys can always go in there, go back to resources. I'm going to hopefully talk to Dr. Soler and get some more stuff in there too, just some follow-up things. And if you guys have questions, of course, now or after the retreat, I'm always happy to talk about this stuff. So you can shoot them to me and we'll give you what we know. So
Do you need help cleaning?
We're here.
I got my team.
Orly, can you share your tahini dressing
Yes.
recipe with
Yes,
everyone?
I'm gonna send it to you.
That sounds
Big
amazing.
fan.
I'm a big tahini fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's my food? Check these things, 'cause I'm gonna forget what these. Sorry, I oh, did you?
Oh, these have tops.
Oh, you wanna give to?
Jamie, I just carry
Oh, you gotta take one back. There's no talk, so take whatever we have to throw for it. Sharon, I said something.
I felt so bad. She was great. She was right there.
Hers is drooling.
I didn't realize she had to go, or I would have sped things up a little bit.
That's okay, I can talk.
Theo, you feel comfortable down there? You good? You good?
So do you prefer one over the other, the different types of butters?
I saw an R in the original.
I use organic. Correct. I try to use organic. Yeah, I mean almonds and cashews
Yeah, my mom had to make it.
tend to be the ones I reach for. Peanuts, I don't know, people go back and forth
Hey,
about peanuts.
hey,
They
hey,
have
this
long
guy's
lives.
so cool. Hey.
No, I'm not gonna eat, but I'm just gonna check it out.
Okay.
You don't want anything?
No.
Taste a little taste.
No, I'm good. I'm gonna juice one more day.
You're so welcome.
I'll eat tomorrow.
You sure okay? I'm ready to pack for you.
That's what I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Is that the easiest job? And then I have to cook for a bunch of people.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you could also do frozen. You know, if you're under a time constraint. I just like to do all my veggies prepped on Sundays, so I can just go throughout the week and just. This is a one-pot meal too. This is coconut milk, veggies. I did tofu in the oven, so I just baked it.
Oh, I know.
So you can see that's the tofu, nice and crunchy. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Everything was delicious.
Yeah, it was great, thank you.
You guys enjoy it?
Yes, yes.
We're gonna have more of this tomorrow, plus salad with fruit.
It's like totally is like, I mean, it looks like my.
That's your chicken?
That's like, looks like my pantry, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a book or anything like that you would say that is? I mean, not to sound cheesy, but like sort of like what Betty Crocker is to the American.
There's some
something
good
about like eating
ones.
champs. Because you know, I know there's some books that show you like you're talking about how you have almost all of those.
Yeah.
But you know, because I'm just starting this, I have no idea. And you know how confusing it is to be looking at labels.
Well, I mean, for me, like most of the stuff most of the stuff, like, I learned by looking at labels, like reading the labels to see what's in there, and I was like shocked, you know, especially if there's an ingredient list like this big with a bunch of words you don't understand, like don't eat that. But if you read the list and there's like 5 or 6 and you can understand all of them, then that's good. And so, but yeah, like store-bought stuff is, I always just get non-GMO and organic, and you know, but yeah, it's, you know, that's like the ingredients, but for recipes, you can like Google pretty much anything you want to make and just put vegan in front of it, and it will give you all kinds of recipes, and then you can make whatever it is, you know. So that's how I started, is like just taking like my like spaghetti bolognese, you know, I wanted to make spaghetti bolognese because I like it, and now I make one that tastes just like it.
I was gonna ask you if you
No, that's good. You want
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh no, but I felt
That's
just
how
on my
my
finger.
fingers, this is really good, yeah.
I'll give you this so it's.
That's really good. Poor Jamie, that didn't eat.
Alright, well, thank you.
Jamie's gonna be very happy when she gets out of her, gets out of her massage, and she gets to eat, she'll be like, oh, fun.
Oh, that's really I'm gonna walk with her. Thank you so much. Everything was delicious.
You're welcome. It's better with the coconut. So
This
good.
cover is not sweet, right?
It's raw.
You is it sweet?
Yeah, it makes like chocolate ice cream. That's what I'm making tomorrow. So the same base, the bananas, the flax milk, but then you add that. And the reason I was asking for dates is because dates make it. When you add dates to this, it makes it like chocolate. It makes it like a milk chocolate. So
it licks the other one. It licks the other one.
it won't be sweet. It'll be more like a dark chocolate than like a milk chocolate.
Cocoa.
Yeah, just like what we did. We did this presentation. We had this.
It's not as good. It's just it's not going to give
Very cool, yeah.
They're not just nutrient dense as the raw
I built it.
and then also it's just it's not going to taste mint or bacon. It's not as good. I've used it. I've done it before. I made that travel.
I'll show you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the other, at the other facility,
Yeah.
you're gonna have a restaurant there.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's awesome, yeah.
Very small, you know, baby,
Yeah.
but I spoke to
Hey, you
Chef
wanna make
Cotton.
something for your daughter?
You didn't
She
talk.
probably won't eat it, no.
Okay, so I
I
know.
don't think so. I mean, I could take a teeny bit for her, but I don't think she'll eat
Yeah,
it.
yeah, just gonna put a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
26, 27, 28, some cater.
Okay.
Absolutely,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah, she's got a good thing going on over there.
Here.
Food's amazing.
Yeah,
I love
I love these crackers.
Yeah. I was pointing out to them like
For,
you have to be so conscious
McKenna.
of calorie
Oh,
density.
what's
So
the
quick
matter?
word.
Yeah, we have another one on the stove.
Wow, you guys made a lot, huh?
Well, they made this one.
And
I
then you
just
have all
happened
this
to-
leftover ingredients
Yeah,
too.
you showed that to do a stir fry or something.
Do you want some more? Can, more, or it's?
A little bit more, yeah.
Perfect.
To the rice. No, no more rice. Just
No,
a little
oh,
more.
okay.
Curry, yeah. Yeah.
It's delicious.
Plenty of rice.
You're so welcome.
How many much bird?
Oh, I wanted to see that.
What's up, Lola?
Do you guys have a link for this or no?
We do at the office.
Oh,
Wow,
I didn't bring it.
That's okay.
wow, amazing. And I want to see the vegan, oh, here, powder.
Oh yeah, the Sprouts protein powder. Like I said, it's still processed, but
Yeah.
especially like when I work out hard.
Cool, cool.
He'll download it onto
What do you love? Oh, it's so much flavor.
Yeah, everyone always